that's a problem for homeowners. And, you know, I think there is definitely some aspect of like everybody in the industry needs to take responsibility for this and making sure people understand what the best etiquette, what the best recommended rules are, regardless of what the state laws are, regardless of any of that. Keep your music at a reasonable level. You don't need to be blaring it. Nobody wants to hear what you want to listen to. The rider's only 10, 12 feet back from the boat. They can hear the music fine.
Yeah. Especially with tower speakers that
Yeah.
point directly at the surfer.
Exactly.
Whoever's behind the
Exactly.
boat. I think, and this is just, again, my opinion, it only takes a few.
It does. It does. And it's those few that cause things like the litigation we've seen over the past few years
Yeah.
in the Senate and stuff like that. You know, like one of the services that we offer, we call it Coach on Your Boat. We'll send our water sports coaches to you. So you bought a boat, you might be new to it, you might not be. Like we do advanced riders all the time, but whatever the case is, we go to you. We can bring a driver. We can teach you how to drive the boat. If you're new to that, we can teach you how to wake surf. If you've wakeboarded and you just bought a surf capable boat and you want to go try that. But we've been on a multitude of boats where we've had to stop the lesson and do some kind of an etiquette thing, right? And so one of the prime examples I can think of, I was with a brand new owner. I won't talk about the boat make or anything else, but we were over by Spindle Point on a brand new boat, and I'm coaching, right? So I'm kind of focused on the rider. I'm not really watching the driver, not watching our surroundings. That's the driver's responsibility. That's why on our boats we have two staff,
Which is, you can't
which
work.
is law,
You
right? But
can't go without that. Yeah.
there are companies that do what we do that will send out one person and they're expected to drive and coach at the same time. The experience is not there because either you have unsafety, less safety at the driver's seat, right? Or you've got a lack of coaching. So anyway, I'm watching the rider, and we go by this area, and I don't connect it in my head because I'm focused on what the rider's doing, but the wave just disappears. And we're talking about a $250,000 brand new top of the line boat from the make that it was from. I turned to the driver. I was like, have you ever seen it do that before? Maybe there's an actuator issue. If it is, we'll go talk to the dealer about it, get it checked out. Never comes back again until about 30 minutes further into the lesson. And this time the wave disappears and the water turns brown. And I look up to my left, and we might be 20 to 30 feet offshore over by Spindle Point, where first of all, there's rocks. Second of all, you've got homes, right? I was like, we're done. We're going to go back to the dock. We're going to go over what the rules are, what the distance recommendations are. We're going to look at what 200 feet looks like, right? And I think that's, across the board on Winnipesaukee, I think like distance is a problem, whether you're riding a jet ski, a bow rider, whatever boat you have. I would be shocked if most licensed boat drivers could back up from you and say, I am now at least 150 feet away, which is the state law, and the recommendation for wake surfing is 200 feet.
I think a lot of people forget that you have to be 150 feet away from a vessel.
Yep.
Under